Hello, this is Mr. Huff, and I want to go over a few things in aerospace. So, first, we need to talk about titles on your program challenge submissions. Make sure you are including the entire description of the activity or challenge. The thing is, let's look at my little diagram I made here. I have different things going on in two different classes plus virtual students. So I may have a project coming from Vex. I may have one coming from Arduino. I may have one coming from my virtual students using Vex VR, and I may have someone building the Arduino robot and then doing the challenges. So if you're just putting challenge one, I don't know what you're talking about, and I am taking points off for this. Please put in the entire activity name. Don't just put 4.2.3. Put that it's also inputs and outputs. Give me the entire description. Make my job easy. It also helps me know what to look for. Another thing, when you're describing the purpose and the name of the activity are probably going to say kind of the same thing. So make sure you're getting that stuff done. So let's talk about challenges a little bit. So some of you are going, I didn't have any challenges in this activity. And I know for certain there were questions that had to be answered or difficulties that were overcome. It may have seemed like just a small thing, but give me something. There's always some sort of challenge. We're also having the problems with crashes. We're having trouble, with communication and that sort of thing. And you need to be highlighting the things that kind of interrupted your flow. So always put something there. Just do not put that there were no challenges whatsoever, because I know that's not true. For the programming challenges, you just need to show me one example of your code. Some of you have really great intentions and you put all of the challenge code in there. Some of these assignments, especially with the Vex testbed, will have multiple small programs. Just put in your best one. So also, I'm looking for a few comments sprinkled in there for these on your final code. I'm looking for full documentation, but right here, I just need to see a few comments so I can kind of follow along with your logic. If you're having trouble, I'm going to make you do pseudocode. Another thing is use indents and skipped lines to help you understand what your code is doing. Let's take a look at this example. So if I run this program, it'll work. This program will work as it is, okay? But it's really hard to tell. So my thing I want you to take care of is when you open a curly brace, we need to know where the close is. And that way we can identify everything in between. So if you highlight these rows like this and use the tab or shift tab keys, you can adjust the indent. So I'm going to give all of this 2 indents, and that shows that everything here, oops, I missed one. This one gets indented too. So this tells me that between these 2 curly brackets, all of this code fits. Behind this while statement, this stuff right here, 2 tabs. That way I can see that these curly braces go with that while statement. So now it's getting easier to see. I would also suggest throwing in some carriage returns here and there so we can separate some of this stuff out. So you can see that the waits are separate from the whiles. I might even I would probably leave the motor commands alone, but I might give it a little more space here. So I'm just kind of spreading it out so it's easier to keep track of what it's doing. So I might make it look like that. Now, if you compare this to what I had earlier, this is much easier to digest. Let's throw one more in there. So I can see that the weights are independent of the while statements, and the while statements have the code cleanly separated. As far as what the robot sees, it doesn't care about any of this white space. It condenses all of this down to one string anyway, so this is to make it human readable, okay? So be sure you're using your indents to help you keep your code tidy, and use some carriage returns to kind of split up things. I'm seeing like these long lists of commands without any separation. And when you start having trouble, it's really hard to digest what's happening. So do that. And then again, I would expect to see comments like these sprinkled inside here. Let's go look at the rest of my list. Okay. Questions like what applications could this be used for? If you put something like this could be used to make a robot, be clear about what you expect that robot to do. Applications means it's doing something. So I have a few answers that are being really vague, and I'm asking you to demonstrate that you understand what it is, what the purpose of the assignment was, and that you understand the implications. And if you give me really short answers, it tells me that you really don't understand what you're talking about. So give me examples, give me clear descriptions of things like that. Also, if you make a claim, support it with evidence. I have some people saying, I learned about robots, and you should refer to an example. I learned about robots. I can control the motor speed by adjusting the values of what I send it in the program statement or whatever. Give me some sort of evidence that supports what you're learning, how you're answering those conclusion questions. Be careful. Some of them will say, like, give 3 examples of how this could be used, and some of you are only giving me 1 example, and it's kind of weak. You don't really tell me how it's using it. So, all right, that's just a little bit of thoughts for this assignment. So let me know if you have questions.